that's perfect, because we get started. So I have, it's an 11 by 17 of subdivision to kind of show your skill, well, our, you know, all the subdivisions. And I have a large number of files, so I have 11 by 17, lot one, only, and I have lot two. And file.
Folks, just a heads up, we're live streaming and audio, video recording. So we're in a public meeting, everything's public. And they should be. Well, no, I like it that way. Yeah. Pause it on your chair. Do you think if we get the board ready now, and like, put its minute somewhere till we're ready? I'm okay with it.
I'm just thinking, otherwise we'll just wait till you and then.
Well, I'm likely to move you up in the agenda if our engineers will take that.
No.
So we don't have to listen to the rest of it.
I don't mind, it'll be entertaining.
I've heard a lot of other words used to describe.
Well, we're being recorded then.
You might want to fire that up or get that thing ready, because we want to see if we can't get you up in the agenda.
Yeah, a little bit. Go away.
Oh yeah, that's right, I haven't seen you in a long time.
Hazening Engineer Road. Would you be able to, should the board be inclined to move up some people we have here, would you be able to address that?
I certainly would.
I thought you'd be prepared.
I thought about it, but you know what? Yeah, your old baby.
Doesn't really, I didn't know how to.
Your old baby. Wife's at home. I don't have any kids, I'm by myself. So.
Our worlds are different.
That's right, so he gets to.
Okay.
Right.
It is.
So being inflexible doesn't benefit anybody. People who are inflexible have issues.
What are you looking for? Oh, that's easy.
Didn't know, I can make sure.
Don't flag me like that.
How are you?
That's what I do, nobody up there.
Oh, really?
Hey, Tom.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah. That's probably it, but we just
Again, for those who are just joining us, we're transmitting live on YouTube, both audio and visual. Nice permanent record you can access if you so desire.
We'll call the Robeson Township workshop to order, December 12th, at 7 o'clock. Pledge allegiance and one of the silence for all military personnel.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call. Mrs. George. Mr. Rhodes.
Present.
Mr. Pittman.
I'm here.
All right, we'll first do citizens' comments, and I see we do have something on the agenda here, so are they here tonight? Dr. Noyes?
Yes, we are.
All right, I don't know if anyone wants to come up and name, address, and your concern, please. You can stay there, you don't have to come up front, you can stay there. Your name, please?
This is Kathleen Price, and this is my husband, Ferdinand. We live at 34 Cowan Court. Since May 2019, when the neighbors moved into 276 White Bear Road, we have been experiencing persistent, annoying, and disturbing music. It is played from inside their house and on an outside speaker, or even on a TV that is brought outside. The music is played anytime, any day, all day, and all night at times. This music is heard all along the backside of our house with our windows closed. The distance from their speaker to our house is approximately 275 feet, and their music can be heard in our bedroom and across to the adjoining bathroom for a total of 290 feet. Their music has been heard by our neighbor on her porch, and that happened it happened June 24th this year. This is the distance from the neighbor we're speaking about to her house of approximately 600 feet. The steps we have taken to resolve this issue are, number one, we repeatedly asked the neighbor to turn the music down or off. Two, we requested help from the township, and it was suggested that we write a letter to them, and it's dated January 29, 2020. I have it here, and you may have a copy of it. As can be seen, we CC'd the township and police. Still, the music is being played and is being played continuously. At three, we went to the township again, and we're told to call the police for an independent verification of the disturbance, and hence the lobbying of such behavior. The disturbance has continued. Four, we were then told by the township to file a violation complaint form. We filed two. That was March 15, 2024, and June 24, 2024. Finally, we were told by both the township and police that they can do nothing because of the Robeson Township Disorderly Conduct Code. We can do nothing more. In order to resolve this issue, we respectfully want and need you, the township supervisors, to enhance and revise the Robeson Township Disorderly Conduct Ordinance. A copy of the Exeter Township noise ordinance has been provided for you and hopefully can be used temporarily. This is harassment by this neighbor. As noted by the steps we have taken, there is clear intent on them to deliberately continue with this persistent, annoying behavior, now going on 6 years. And two, the severity of this behavior is escalating because it is repeated and done no matter what time of day or night, even after being requested by the police not to do so. This harassment is affecting our health and well-being. We have no quality of life. Please help us. Thank you.
Acting Chief Roonby, do you know or have any input on some of these rules and regulations, or?
So I personally have never been called to their residence for it. I was just kind of notified that this was gonna happen tonight, so I did question one of my officers, and he has recently been there for a noise violation. Now, he told me that if you go back and review his body cam footage, you cannot hear the music at their residence. So this is something new to me. As of right now, I'm just learning it, like I said. I can look into it and bring back better information to the board for the regular township meeting. I can say that if an officer is called there, and it's, just say, 10, 11 o'clock at night on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the officer should go to that house where the music is coming from and ask them to turn it down, because it is a disturbance. And we could ultimately cite them for disorderly conduct for excessive noise. So it is something that I can look into. Like I said, I wasn't aware of it till this just happened.
There's definitely no rules or regulations in here.
We do not have any noise ordinance that I'm aware of, no. Anytime that we've ever done anything with a noise issue in Robeson Township, we usually just go knock on the person's door, ask them to turn it down, tell them that's being disruptive. They usually comply. If somebody does not comply, then we usually end up citing them with disorderly conduct.
Which is fair and reasonable.
It is fair.
But nobody's apparently held them accountable. And you have to look at us and go, I don't wanna implement something for one situation, because it snowballs. If you look at everything we've got in the books now, it's like this to begin with, and we're just complicating it. I don't disrespect the fact that you're being annoyed by someone, but I think you need to look at Chief Rimby and go, hey, we'll give you a chance to resolve it. Because at this point, I would be at an attorney, but that's my personal opinion, because you're saying it's harassment. He says if he goes out there and they're being annoying, he'll cite them.
Well, what's everybody's thought about looking at this Exeter Township ordinance and
I'm
saying?
not
hey,
interested in looking at Exeter's because we're not Exeter,
Well,
we are rural.
we can still tweak it, you can still tweak it.
I would like to say something if I could, just briefly.
And your name, please?
My name is Janine Shephers, and I am at 39 Kellen Court. We built a new home there in the last 2 years. I'm not from the area, so I didn't know anyone coming in here, and I've lived in Chadds Ford. I've lived all over. My husband moves a lot for work. I will say, on the 24th, and I work outside, I do a lot of landscaping myself. I can hear the music, and I'm quite a ways away from them. I'm up the hill, and I just, if it's during the day, I can't hear the words, but there's bass, and the speakers are loud, and it is annoying after a while, because I moved out there, and we all have roughly an acre or a little more for the quiet, for the nice, the birds, the animals, and to just chill, and I can't imagine being them so close to this. It is an irritant, and I can't hear it inside my house, fortunately. If I'm outside, I do hear it. As I said, I can't hear the words, but I can hear the constant boom, 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 or the music, and sometimes it's hours at a time. For them, it would be crazy.
When you said the 24th, is that the 24th of June that you referred to?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, when my
So-
husband and I were on the porch, and it looks down over two properties, and theirs is first, so theirs is sort of a buffer zone for us, and then the house in question is beyond them, and they have the speakers on the outside of the house. And we sat out there with a cocktail, we were just, relaxing, and you could hear it. It really was ridiculous. And then she walked up and had a clipboard, and then there were other people in the development walking, and I signed a paper that said we could hear it, and I think the other folks did too. Am I correct?
I don't remember that part. Jan,
I
but
do.
I must say, the thing is, when we say this music is being played, the music is such that they're not even outside and it's being played outside.
Yeah,
Or
nobody's
they're
out
not
there.
even home.
Right, I'm just
What
saying,
was the-
we need to
And
give
they're
him a
not-
chance.
Excuse me, they're not even home and it's played throughout the whole night.
I'm
What
not
was the-
disagreeing with what you're saying.
And
What was
so,
the date on March? Just so I can go back and look at my
March?
receipt.
Well,
15th.
the
March
15th.
15th.
it's March.
And did you call the police on both of those days?
No, those
No,
were what
those
you
were-
filed reports of.
Thank you, sir, that's
Okay.
it. But we were told too, that in trying to find the most appropriate way to handle this, we kept going back to the township and filed the complaints, and it's been now 6 years, and the thing is, what's really so bad about this is, like I said, these individuals aren't even home, and it's played throughout the whole night. And that being said, we were told that to come here and to speak with all of you.
But none of us
And I
know
know
that,
you
honey.
don't wanna follow Exeter's.
No, I still think it's reasonable we could review this, because I just was
But
reading
I-
something
the
Saturday.
police
Please
look at it.
resolve issues I've had previously, like you're saying about neighbors being loud.
What
Okay.
did you do?
I called the police, who went and addressed
How
it.
many times did you call the police?
I know,
Yeah.
well, see, but
Yeah.
I've not been there. They've always come and done it, and the people have always complied. What I'm saying is, you have someone who has an issue, is basically, in your opinion, harassing you by the constant abuse of the noise, right? Constant abuse.
It is.
Okay. Chief Rimby's willing to address that. Maybe if they get a few citations and they get fined a little bit, they'll start to understand that common sense and common courtesy are fair.
But may I ask real quickly,
Yeah, okay. Can I say something? I'm Ferdinand Price, I'm Kathy's husband. I've been through this whole thing for the 6 years, and we've followed all the steps that the township and the police have told us to do.
And they say they can't help us.
They say they can't help us.
Well, I know anybody will,
He
well, I know
just-
she said, but, you know, the two of you, do you think it's, we got the thing here, some of these paragraphs you could skim aren't bad paragraphs. Is
And
it something-
it's just to get something
How many
in the
ordinances do you want to
system.
get?
I'm just asking, you know,
that at least they can do something about it. That's all we're asking for.
But
We want the quiet, please. This is like,
another reason 33 acres.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think it's reasonable to review this ordinance and potentially come up with something. Cause I'm sure that I know this is not the only, we're not the only people.
We're not the only ones.
Yeah,
at one,
the-
at one point,
How do you call it, the shooting range up
Oh,
here
yeah, I mean,
shoots all the time.
Well, there's other
Yes,
people with
that's
parties and
different.
stuff too, but I mean, I think this is reasonable, look at the
But
ordinance.
the reality is the
Yeah,
shooting
I
range
think
was
it's a
there
good idea.
before.
At least then maybe the police can do something
Anybody else?
to tell them.
But even if it's not on our books, that's just plain disrespect and abuse. Okay, I play my music, my neighbors play their music, there's times that it'll get
It's
loud.
reasonable at times, right?
That's right, okay,
But this is beyond that.
before we go through all this, to put another thing in place, another law, another regulation, another rule, let's give Chief Rimby a chance to hold them accountable.
on November 24th, this is the music, I called at 11:30, cause the ordinance is till 11. Called 11:30 and asked for help. Kept going, so 1 o'clock in the morning came, so I called, and it's still going on, 2:30, I'm still, I
And
can
the
hear you in my.
officer came out, right?
Yeah, let me finish. And it comes, it's in the bedroom, it's pounding away, so at 2:30 in the morning I called, and the officer said, I already been out, I didn't hear it. I said, oh yeah, I'm here. I said, he's out, come up in your drive. I said, he goes, well, I went to the house. I said, no, come to the back of the house. The speaker is aiming to here. And he came to on the driveway, and with the car, you can't, if sitting in the car, you can't hear it. Turn off the car, and you start to hear it, and that's when he asked us, are they home? I said, I don't know, I'm not sure. Well, he did go down to their house, and no one was home, so I left a message on Ring. When he left, all of a sudden you hear this big scream out of the ring, because the neighbor was woken up at 2:33 in the morning, because they're away from the house, and the officer left a message.
Yeah, well, I guess what we'll do at this point is, I mean, since we don't have anything, I mean, obviously now he's aware of it, which obviously he wasn't. I mean, if you can investigate some things.
I'll have information for you.
He'll search for it,
Yeah,
we're not
search
saying
for
what,
it.
what's
Okay.
happening.
So, yeah,
is
so
what
I
happened.
didn't have the police logs, they all have that as many times as we've called. And then finally, the officers have said, we can do nothing.
But that's not what this officer, who is now our chief of police, is telling you.
Yeah, so
So
we're
give him an
gonna,
opportunity
he'll look
to
into
fix
it,
the
it's
problem.
Thursday, we have a meeting on Tuesday, he
I'll
can
have
get
it by
us,
Tuesday.
he can have information for us by Tuesday, see what he comes up with.
No, I understand what you're saying.
Let me finish here, Joy, then you can call, he's definitely aware,
Not
that's fine, but then he can look into this and see, let us know by Tuesday, and you can come on Tuesday to see what he finds out.
We will be here on Tuesday.
Yeah, nobody wants you to live miserably.
I'll have an officer reach out to you tomorrow, just to get the ball rolling with everything, okay? Just to make sure we have all the correct addresses and the dates and everything like that, and then we'll go from there, okay?
Because at one point, too, we were told because there is such, you can see your code is bare bones compared to Exeter.
But if he didn't know it, he can't fix it, honey.
I know, but what I was gonna say to you, we were told between that and the zoning officer, they couldn't do anything.
I don't know who told you that, your zoning officer and our old chief, but you've got the one sitting there now who says, we can do something. I'm not for putting more ordinances in place. Am I for protecting your right to have a peaceful life? Yes. I live on 45 and listen to my neighbor's music sometimes. So I understand what you're saying, depends on how
It's
they
an odd
shooting at
party
you.
or
Right,
something like that.
right.
Yeah, sure.
But they're pointing directly at you, so we get regular.
And I understand being reasonable.
Yeah, we have a comment about this,
If you call, this comes up about every 6 months, And when I was on the board last time, we drafted a nuisance ordinance with the assistance of the police chief to try to eliminate some of this
Yeah,
stuff.
it was just about
And
nuisance, it wasn't just.
went nowhere. It went nowhere, Mr. D, because it was horrible.
That's a matter of opinion.
At my opinion, it was
Mr.
horrible.
Harold, I'm not gonna criticize it.
All right, well, we'll get you information for Tuesday. Then we can do it.
Very much.
Any other citizens' concerns? Now, I guess if not, the thought was we can go down to who's here for the 4 Chestnut Hill, that would be.
Correct. Make a motion that we take the agenda out of order and address the.
We'll have to make a motion.
Yeah, we don't need one.
I think we need a motion, do we not?
I don't think you need a
No,
motion to take
it's already
it out
there.
of order, as long as you're not adding anything
Yeah.
to the agenda.
It's already there.
All right, Ryan, we can do Chestnut Hill.
Okay, yeah, I had, kinda highlighted a little bit of, this discussion in my email to the board when I distributed my report. This is, in conjunction with a plan that's been before the planning commission now for, gosh, probably.
Almost a year.
And, this is, if you recall, we have this section in our ordinance, this is a plan that's been before you, a sister plan, about a month or two ago. This is a project off Chestnut Hill Road. It is a non-residential, industrial type project. It involves a private cul-de-sac street and 7 new industrial lots. I don't know if you have a plan, feel free to set it out. The intention here for this evening is the developer is proposing private, and or community utility improvements. The proposal is for on-lot septic for each property, each one of the 7 industrial properties, as well as individual wells for drinking purposes, and a community-based fire protection system, with a cistern tank and fire loop that would run through the development. We should stick it over here so everybody's it's worth noting that this is a section of our township, and the base properties for this plan are currently 5 approved non-residential and industrial type lots, which also would have on-lot sewer and water.
Per lot.
Per lot. Okay, so this takes 5 existing industrial properties and turns them into 7, by adding the frontage of the proposed cul-de-sac. Okay? So with that, I'll turn it over to the developer. I will say that, this, concept as a whole, the on-lot septic, on-lot well, and fire loop, again, has been a discussion topic and review topic with the planning commission for the better part of 3 months now. They felt this month that it was ready to move forward to you, and they made that recommendation for you to consider approving.
So I'm Ben Stoltzfus, I'm in California Road in Morgantown, and so we own these 51 acres, and like Ryan said, was 5 lots. Because of the cul-de-sac, the street and the cul-de-sac, to better utilize the property, we put this, proposing to put this road in. And, Don Lehman is here to talk about what I call the community water tank that we're gonna put up there to supply the sprinklers and fire suppression. And then, Ross is here to talk about any kind of questions you might have on lot sewer. And then Jan from our, engineering, Robeson is here. So if you have any questions, now's the time. Do we wanna start on, so what are your first questions you'd like to address?
So I think a discussion on the fire loops system would be appropriate, a good place to start, then we can move on to the others. Again, it's not uncommon, and there's certainly building code requirements for non-residential structures to be sprinkled. And that can be accommodated, but there is a fire loop system that's intended to give a base fire flow for this, and maybe that's a good purpose.
Okay, so I can basically give everybody, my name's Don Lynham, I'm president of S&L Mechanical. We are a design, build, fire protection, contracting, and engineering firm. We pretty much design for people all over the country. And the concept at this lot, because we don't have public water, is to put in a community tank, above ground storage tank, that would provide water for any of the possible buildings that would go on these 7 lots that could require fire protection. When they get into building code and zoning, there's certain buildings by the IBC code that would not even require a fire protection system, say less than 12,000 square foot for certain use groups. And maybe, I'm not sure what Ben's plans are, we're kind of looking at a comprehensive, you know, who, based on zoning, would be the most likely tenants of this park, and what would be the requirement when you got into building code analysis for fire protection to have a tank big enough to protect those buildings that would require sprinkler systems, but also, and I think potentially more importantly, is provide water to this hydrant loop system that would be used by first responders in the event that you had a fire and they needed to provide support. You have a question?
If one of them caught fire, the reality is it could spread to anything else.
If what?
If one caught fire, it could spread to anything else. So the reality is all you're doing is making sure you've protected everybody in the entire development.
Well, you're gonna protect everybody that requires a sprinkler system with a sprinkler system.
But you're providing hydrants.
And you're providing hydrants to support the NFPA codes for required water for those buildings, or having the use of that water for firefighting use for car fires or buildings that don't require sprinklers, in addition to the buildings that do, yes.
So how many hydrants are there? What's the
I think
pressure?
we have-
What's the pressure on hydrants?
So we have 3 hydrants shown on this plan, and the pressure available at the hydrants would vary depending on if there was an active fire or not. But I would estimate a static pressure somewhere between 140 and 160 psi. It would be substantial, because we would need that for the sprinkler use. And the general idea is that if a sprinkler system activates, that by the time responding personnel would be there, it would be a mop-up operation. But if there would be a building that wouldn't be sprinklered, then you would have really strong capacity. I mean, you'd have high capacity and strong water pressure for either to support the fire truck or directly hand lines off those hydrants.
What is the capacity of the tank?
The tank was gonna ask.
Okay, so we're at 150,000 gallons is what we're proposing,
Okay.
which would give you about 2,500 gallons a minute for 60 minutes if it was a non-fire event.
They have also questioned, you know, what additional capacity we might want within reason. And quite frankly, we got to a point where there was little to gain by flushing out the intricacies of this design before we had the concept approved for the, right? So that design will grow and mature as it goes through the planning process.
Would the hydrants be available for other fires other than that building?
Yeah, depending on what the agreement with the township would be, they would, if there was a non-fire event. in
Like
a
for a
building,
fill,
in
like
the
a fill site
development.
or something, you know, like if we have a tank.
If you had a brush fire, if you had, yeah,
We
we
need
do that in a
fill
lot of
site.
facilities. If you've got private hydrants, you've got a fire pump there that'll be diesel, and a water, it's really the best water system you can have if you're not gravity fed. So yes, to answer your question, you would be available for any fire. Even if you needed, you know, again, based on what the agreement, I don't know how the inner workings legally go with the developer, but, you know, if you had something close to that area, potentially you could use that hydrant as a drafting point or some other way to support fires anywhere else in the township.
Part of the developer agreement.
You should also probably consider the road crew needing water for rollers or whatever was around that neighborhood. So they're running all over that.
I don't think anybody's gonna try to take the use it, so as long as everybody consider it.
Well, we have-
Again, we go back to
We're the
consideration.
same deal with Rubble.
Oh, no, I'm just saying, consideration on everybody's part, common sense, well, sometimes that's a good
You
supply,
just,
but.
you just would have to know that if you did use those hydrants, you're gonna activate the fire pump. You know what I mean? It's gonna be that's a fire event.
Yeah, you're gonna get a fire going, go off, and then you're gonna get probably a fire alarm.
You won't get alarms in the buildings, but we'll have an alarm system on the pump house adjacent to the tank, and you'll get a pump run that could report somewhere, but it's not like you can take water and someone's not gonna know about it.
And the ownership and management of that system, as well as the private street, My understanding is we'll set up essentially a trust or for lack of a better term, an association, homeowners association type trust to manage that in Robeson.
So that's the general concept. I'm happy to answer any questions anyone's asked.
So he can get through it and determine what's going where, it's not gonna help us, right?
Yeah, I know it's early. Do you know what kind of tenants you will have back there?
So, we're doing subdivision here, and we're also, at the same time, we're doing land development for lot one. So he's building a 30,000 square foot building on lot one, and he's gonna use it for like metal fabrication. So, that's the first tenant that's moving in.
Is this little chestnut hill tree?
I don't know.
No?
I think it used to be owned by Bethlehem Steel years and years ago.
Yeah, no, Chestnut Hill Archery's down.
It's still there?
Yeah.
It just, that's what it reminded me of when you were saying, cause there's a lot of acres there.
These are the last 5 lots that fronted on Chestnut Hill before you get to Township. It's right next to Township.
Yeah.
Right
Right
against
on the
Township.
line.
Township.
Yeah.
So I think that's, a general summary of the fire loop system. Again, for drinking water, on-lot wells would be used. You have looked into water samples, or maybe this is more towards Ross.
Yes, Ross. Are you done with Don?
That's up to these guys.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Thank you.
So you're next.
You got to flip a coin.
Which one do you want? Which one do you want?
I'm Ross Wolford from Environmental Design. I'm a sewage enforcement officer, septic designer. Greg Marshall's down at the company, lives on White Bear Road, sold a couple years ago, so some of you might know Greg Marshall. I worked with him for 17 years. I'm still in environmental design, and what we do is we do on-site septic and planning, DEP planning for, and we fix people's septic systems, failing, and we also do subdivision. So we were asked to come out and do some work here. This is a 7-lot subdivision. One of the issues that we have, the big issue is, the ordinance has this table in there, and it says that this area here is supposed to be a public sewer. It's supposed to be public water. But we did some research with the sewer authority. There are no connections anywhere near the site. The closest sewer would be Morgantown. We'd have to go under I-176 or under
That's not good.
a 4-lane road divided highway.
Yeah, they can't get anywhere, it's a different water pit.
Yeah, it's just, it's not
Doesn't make
practical,
sense.
that it's not possible, really. So, I guess the question, is our zone for, commercial use, this type of use. However, we're kind of looking for some help here as far as what type of water supply and sewage disposal we can use. Because we had our Technicon Enterprises came out and they did perk testing on each one of these lots. Primary replacement septics. And they all pass for sand mounds. So, because there's no availability of sewer, we're proposing on-lot sand mounts. Now, how many employees is this guy gonna have?
I think the first lot one, I think he was at 14.
14, okay.
14 to 16.
So the way we size septic systems is based on the number of employees. So 14 would be 10 gallons per day per person, so it's 140 gallons per day that we'd have to design a system for. We'd have to do a minimum of 200 gallons a day because that's the DEP regulation, but we would probably design something like for about 400 gallons a day. So that's with the perk testing we did out there, it's probably maybe a 15 by 60 elevated sand mound. And then we'd have an area reserved as a replacement if that would ever fail. Generally, for this type of use, guys working in the shop, they're not using a whole lot of water. There wouldn't be showers or anything like that involved. So for this type of kind of lighter industrial use, on-lot septics would be something we could use with no problem. And, you know, we're providing a DEP approved alternative for sewage disposal. And if we did propose, you know, something, well, we wouldn't propose it, but the idea of like trying to go into a sewer system when we already have on-site sewage disposal, most likely the agencies wouldn't wanna do that. DEP doesn't like to put more sewage into the streams if you can handle it on-site. That's usually the first priority. Yeah.
Do you have a question? Yes, I do have a question.
Yeah.
You're saying it's 14 employees on that on that one lot. What happens if the business expands? Is your sand mound going to be large enough to be able to take care of an expanded business? I don't see that possible. For that what you have there. You know, I know you said you went up to like 400 gallons per day, but at a certain point it stops.
Well, that would be 40 employees. So I don't think.
You don't know. You don't know what's
Well,
going to happen.
you would be limited, obviously, if you're gonna be expanding your business, probably be expanding your building, facilities, you're gonna have to go before the township with planning permits.
Anytime your
Sewage
building
permits.
usage changes, you have to come back to planning commission.
Yeah, it does.
Would you then have to put the
You have to
pipe
put more
underneath
sewer in.
176?
Oh, yeah, they don't have a sewer.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously, the size of the area available for the septic would dictate how many, gallons per day you can put in there. Plus, our approval of DEP is for, one EDU. An EDU is under 800 gallons per day, 400 minimum. If you go over 800, then you have to have another EDU.
In order to give him a more accurate idea, okay, you're looking at something about the size of this room times 2, okay? My household with 5 people in it at one point, 5 or 6 of us, had more, and Greg Marshall designed my system. And it's about the size of this room, and people were getting showers, and, do you know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
they're overcompensating by a lot.
However, in Geigertown, they're having problems with the private sewers.
We will explain that. That's because 1 or 2 failed, and you have a pristine creek right alongside of it with Hay Creek. So
Right.
that's what drew the nightmare to the point where people had to get rid of their TV or whatever to be able to afford to pay for the sewer, which I still don't like to this day.
No.
So I understand what you're saying, but they're being pretty prudent and going way overboard.
Yeah, we have good soils on this lot, on these lots. They're relatively sandy soils. They do have limiting zones down around 30 inches. The minimum is 20 inches for a sand mound. So, and the perk rates are fast. So, you know, we believe we are able to handle any sewage based on occupancy that you would have. And usually in these light industrial, like you said, the steel shop, fabrication, most of that building's just open space with materials in it. They probably have like a break room, some toilets, that type of thing. The guys are working in the shop. That's the kind of businesses you may have there. I'm sure if you would get into some kind of, you know, stuff with like hazardous chemicals or processing.
That's a whole
thing,
different
that's a whole
ballgame.
different ballgame.
And they've got to come back here anyway and be
Yeah,
painted
so-
by us anyhow, so.
Mr. Stolfitz, will you be responsible for the maintenance and pumping and et cetera, all that stuff, or is that gonna be tenants?
So that'll be part of the HOA.
Okay.
Do you have a sewage management program, this township, correct?
Mhm.
So that would be under that. Every 3 years you have to have the tank pumped and inspected. And the sand mounds inspected. You know, other options you can look at, actually, for commercial, you can use holding tanks up to 800 gallons a day.
Yeah, I like your sand mounds
I
better.
prefer not to do that, because
I know they're more expensive, but
it's
I
a
prefer your
nuisance,
sand mounds.
it's expensive, then you have to monitor whether people are doing, if they're running out on the ground, we don't think that's a good idea. But you could do it for under 800 gallons a day, you still have to go through the planning module procedure, So where this is right now, we have all the testing done. We're in the process of doing the wetlands delineation, doing the PID search. I don't know if you did you get the bog turtle hit or anything like that?
It's all been cleared.
It's all been
It's all been cleared, that's all been done already?
Yeah.
Cause there's a little bit of wetlands over there, so we're not impacting the wetlands. And we're getting ready to submit the planning modules. Of course, they have to come to the planning commission, supervisors, you don't get to see all that. We'll put all the testing for all the lots and the planning modules in there. We have to get comments from the county, historical, PA historical. Did you guys do that already?
I did that already, yeah.
You have to get blessed by so many different entities.
Yeah.
That if something slips through, it's not from not enough people seeing it.
So the other thing is, you know, same problem, we don't have access to public water system. I guess what Carnarvon, Morgantown is probably the closest.
Yeah, but a lot of us don't, we don't have access to it in private homes. And we have to do the same thing you're doing, which is put sand mounds
So,
in.
They did some research on, some of the wells in the neighborhood there, some of these wells that are close by. 2 wells in fact, and, to see what their yield was, and they yielded, one of them was 50 gallons per minute, the other one was 60 gallons per minute. So that's, you know, you're looking at 72,000 gallons per day and 86,400 gallons per day in those wells. So that's really high yielding wells. So I think that'll be adequate to supply the water for the toilets or whatever, you know, water use, and probably fill up your tank should be more than adequate to fill that up and take care of that. So we're not really, concerned about the wells. They did look at the nitrates. Nitrates is a big thing with subdivisions nowadays, especially if you're at limestone areas, but this area is not in the limestone area. We don't, the wells only have a nitrate level of 1 part per million, per liter. So that is well under the DEP standard of 10 parts per million. And if you have 5 parts per million within a quarter mile of that whole property, then you have to do a hydro study. We didn't have to do a hydro study in DEP. So the water quality is good. And, so what we're asking is, you know, that you would allow these on-site ways of handling our water and sewer, since the township doesn't have any facilities in that area.
So you want us to first make a motion to approve online water and sewer service for proposed development under section 1702E3. Is that what you want?
That's what we do.
Are you making that motion, Christopher?
Well, I'm clarifying.
Are you making that motion? Are you making that motion?
Are you gonna do the whole development or just lot?
Well, what's the?
The whole development is
So I think the concept here was to do this approval for the subdivision, right? Each subsequent lot will come back in for land
approval.
development. This approval would be noted on the subdivision plan, and unless public utilities made it, you know, within so many feet of the site, you'd be grandfathered to have it online.
But wouldn't we also do lot 1 while we're at the process?
But I think it's just one approval for the.
Okay.
I have to, through DEP for the planning module, I have to do all 7 lots and show that they all perked appropriately for all 7 lots up front, and I have to provide the design for lot 1 specifically. So I do have to go through DEP for all 7.
So if we.
Your motion, you wanted for the development.
For the
Right,
development, for all
right.
7.
Which makes sense.
The way that the planning commission considered this is an overall concept. This recommendation for approval was to approve the fire loop system, on-lot wells, and on-lot septic for the 7 proposed lots. Each lot will then come back in as lot 1 is for subdivision land development design, and each one of those concepts that was approved would be fully vetted in the land development process.
So it's coming before us for the whole subdivision.
You wanna do that tonight?
You might as well. Let everybody move
Well, I
forward.
will make a motion to approve the on-lot water and sewer service for the proposed development under section 702E3 of the zoning ordinance.
So that's the sewer, the water, and the fire suppression system?
Yes.
I'll second.
Roll call, Mr. Joy.
Yes.
Mr. Rhodes.
Yes.
Mr. Bitler.
Vote yes.
I'll vote yes.
You're overcompensating, which is all we can ask for. Undercompensating is what we call it's a problem. So.
Alright, anything else? If you wanna, we'll give you a few minutes to sneak out if you want.
Is that all you folks need for certain tonight?
If I can, there's one more item on the agenda for both the subdivision and the land development plan.
Need an extension?
That's the time extension for planning.
So we're making a motion for the Chestnut Hill subdivision NPC time plan and the Chestnut Hill lot 1 NPC time extension.
That is correct.
Okay, I make that motion.
I'll second.
Roll call, Mr. Troy.
Yes.
Mr. Rhodes.
Yes.
Mr. Bitler.
Yes.
And I'll vote yes.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Oh, you'll be back to see us again.
Oh,
sure we
We
will.
already know that, more than once, I'm sure.
You guys get the donuts out?
I thought you were bringing them.
I don't need to. More of a big,
Alright, thank you.
Good night.
Alright, Rich, correspondence.
Okay, in your package of the piece of course, there's also one in front of the educational conference and exhibit show, and then we have 3 pieces that are there, the meta notification plan for transmission line work, head of paving program for UGI, and excellence in local governments. In your package for your perusal.
Alright, go ahead.
Thank you, Board. Just give you an update on the hiring process. So we sent out the background package to 12 applicants who we had applied. Out of the 12 applicants, 6 applicants actually moved into the interviews from the first step of the background investigation. During the interviews, another background packet was completed, and each applicant had approximately an hour with the command staff and then an hour interview with a board of officers that was made up. From there, we picked our top applicant, and he is currently having his background completed, and I'm hoping to have everything to the board by the regular township meeting on Tuesday.
That's for just one officer?
Yeah.
You're looking for 2?
Well, this is being done, but the primary is to get one done, but the next one in line is gonna be started probably as soon as one's completed. Okay.
Okay, that sounds good.
And that's all I have for you, board. Unless you have anything for me.
Anything exciting with the storm last night?
We had a couple trees down, a couple laying on wires and everything like that, but for the most part, accidents again. We, seem to not be able to get away from the accidents in the township, but it's just getting to that time.
I saw another one there.
On Geigertown Road, yeah.
Well, Morgantown Road and Kurt's Mill.
Yeah.
Right before I came over
Yeah,
here.
we had one again this morning, right past the, Geigertown Fire Department. I guess I don't know if there's a natural spring or something that comes around the turn there. Well, it was all frozen. Some guy, I'm sure he was in a hurry, and, paid the price for it, so. Yeah, that's about it.
Alright, thank you. Alright, Rich, finance.
Okay, in your packet are the monthly expenses as available to date. We haven't received everything, a couple more did come in today, so they should be in your packet. We'll try to update you all on Monday. Treasury report the same, of course we have to wait on statements to come in, and your storage report as of 30 November 2024. Final note that I have on here, Steve, just a reminder to, and we'll request a motion to approve the 2025 advertised budget at our regular meeting on Tuesday.
Alright, manager's comments.
Okay. So a few things are in your packet I'd like to bring your attention to. First, roller paper cost share agreement, and resolution 24, it would be 24-28. If we decide to approve that this evening, that resolution is this, that we're gonna participate along with, Union and Brecknock Townships. If you recall, this was for the paver and for the roller that were obtained through a grant. We received all but about, I think the total cost was somewhere around, 25,000 less on the roller, and I think about, 15,000 less or so on, 16 less on the paver. So, we do have a cost share agreement with those other two townships to split up the remainder. That's all here before you. We can either, we can talk about that this evening, or we can wait, and talk about that at the regular meeting as you so choose.
There was an agreement between, intermunicipal agreement listing a lot of equipment that goes back years and hasn't been updated. Have you seen that agreement?
I have not looked at that agreement, no, sir. I think this is specific to the two that we've
Well, I
already.
think it should probably be incorporated into one agreement would be my thoughts. I don't have that at my fingertips.
Now, the thing that's in the packet here, that was already approved by
Exactly.
Rec, right?
Correct, not in the
Yeah,
union.
it's on the number.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
so they're just waiting for us.
So this is roll and paper, I understand, if I understand you correctly, sir, what you'd like to see us do is combine it all into one with all the previous,
Yeah, I'd like to
material.
get organized, number
I
one.
think the reality is, it is organized, it's just that it never stated a specific piece of equipment. It just states the roller.
Whereas
and-
this one actually does.
Right,
This one actually
but
does.
why there's no point in making it specific, completely specific, you know what you've got, it's in your records. I mean, we have it listed, it's better to say that we're using a truck, we're using a dump truck, we're using a roller, we're using a milling machine. This is what we're sharing, that way we don't have to constantly update something that, if the equipment goes every 5 years, you've gotta constantly
What
update it.
resolution number you said this
You
was?
need to keep that list current, and we're not really doing that.
The bottom line is, we keep lists of our assets, it's part of what we do.
Well, do you wanna make a motion
General
to-
accounting
So,
principles.
so we make actually two motions here, I believe. One would be to, number one, approve the, cost share agreement, and we would sign that, that would be signed by you, Chairman, Mr. Chairman. And then the resolution 24-28 would be for, our resolution to participate in the cost sharing agreement. So there's the two pieces
Right,
together.
that's the paver maintenance line.
When did we see the resolutions? When were they first sent us? I don't recall seeing them.
I'd have to look, sir.
Weren't
I'm
they
not sure.
24-27 and 24-28?
It would be 27 was the last one we did, so this one would be 28. The re-agreement's not gonna have one. I'll have to look at my records and see when they were sent. And they may have actually been dropped off in the ops, to be
All
honest.
right, Chris, which one was it now? We're doing A?
Oh, but if you wanna make if someone wants to make a
Yeah,
motion
okay.
for the roller paver cost share agreement,
Again, I think we should wait and get organized.
we have the two other municipalities approved.
Yeah, it's already been.
Well, I'm not
we
concerned what
already
the other
We
agreed on it.
municipalities approved.
can get
I'm
rid of it.
concerned about our municipality, and we're derelict on
And
that.
this is
You're
for the
just
roller.
nothing
We
but
have been
critical.
derelict for
Okay,
years.
I make the motion that we go for the roller paver cost sharing agreement resolution 24-27.
28.
28. This has already been discussed multiple times, we agreed to it before it went through. Stop nickeling and diming everybody.
So you're making a motion
Okay,
for
but
roller.
I am.
the
What- what
motion
motion?
is for the cost share agreement, and then there will be a separate.
Yeah.
Right,
so
for the
then
next
it's-
one.
So you wanna just do the roller cost share agreement?
Roller cost share agreement and resolution
Yeah.
24-28.
There's a question out there.
I thought we already did this.
We did, but
When we approved applying for the grant.
that's why everybody else has approved
We
it, Harold,
had to
you're
do
right.
it upfront because they were worried if they didn't get the full grant, we would share.
And that's different from what I'm saying, Mr. Steve. I'm
I know what you're
saying we
saying.
have a bunch of other stuff, and we should get everything on the same page.
Did I or did I not make a statement?
So the motion, gentlemen, is, so
The
two
motion
motions.
is to approve the roller
Cost share
paper
agreement.
cost share agreement with the union and Breckland Township.
And then the second one would be for resolution.
The second would be to adopt resolution.
Right.
So you're making motions, Joan?
No, I'm just giving
No,
you
Who's
wording.
fine?
Who's
I'm asking
making
her
the
to-
motion?
Ask,
her to
she
clarify.
followed, Mr. Bittler, if you would listen
So the
instead of
first
complaining.
motion-
Oh, I'm listening.
You
So the
complain.
first
I'm listening
motion would be
intently.
for Joy, the first motion is to approve the roller
Roller
paper cost
cost
share agreement.
paver cost
Fine,
share
period.
agreement, resolution
No.
20.
No, not
No.
resolution, they're two different things,
That's
agreement
fine.
and a resolution.
Okay.
Pretty incredible, folks.
Make the roller paper,
That's two, it's two separate.
Cost share
things.
agreement,
yeah,
We're done.
and then a resolution.
right, the second one, I thought he was asking you to repeat the first
No,
one.
no.
The first one's just the agreement.
Yes,
Yeah, so we have a motion so you made a motion to approve the roller paper
Yes.
cost share agreement.
which has already been
All right,
approved.
I'll second it, roll call, Mr. Joy.
Yes.
Mr. Rose.
Yes.
Mr. Baylor.
Vote no.
Oh, yes. Now, the next one would be.
The the paver, a motion for the paver maintenance line.
No,
or
no, ma'am, no.
No.
Resolution.
That's why I'm asking.
No, the wording is that, a motion to adopt resolution number 24-28.
Motion to adopt resolution 24-28.
And I'll second that. Roll call, Mrs. Joy.
Yes.
Mr. Rhodes.
Yes.
Mr. Bittler.
No.
Oh, yes. And that all right, Rich. Yeah.
Okay, so the next thing here, the paver maintenance line, this would be resolution 24-29. What I'm looking to do here, we already have a paver maintenance line on the books. Rather than creating a new one specifically for this, the recommendation would be to utilize that line for both pavers. We do plan, I believe, on keeping the older paver in service, which means the older roller in service, but, so this would just transfer to the new paver, excuse me.
The paver will get sold.
The paver will get sold. So the second one will be for the rollers, but we're gonna keep the other roller in service.
Yes.
So this one is just, basically, we're gonna change, when we sell the other paver, it'll come off the books. This is, as I put in here, authorize the use of 437.269, named paver for the maintenance of all paver systems that we may have.
Doesn't seem like we even need to do that.
I would recommend that we do look at that, and the reason I bring that to your attention, board, is that we have talked about some other options. There is a system called a paver jet, which essentially paves a portion of a road. Basically, it's good for work on the shoulder of the roads. So if we were to purchase that at some point here in the future, that could be tied into that line as well.
I don't think we need the line at all. I think we already have it.
What I'm saying, so this would be the use for all pavers. So right now, that paver, that line's associated with the old paver. What I'm asking to do is use that for any and all pavers that we may have on the books.
Which makes sense because you're just keeping it the same, you're just changing the pavers as we purchase them.
Does that line actually state the specific paver?
It does not specifically, however,
This is
Paver.
paver maintenance line?
Yeah, if it says pavers, that should pretty much cover it, right, Jeff?
we could look at it that way, absolutely.
Yeah, I think we can just look at it as paver maintenance line, that's any paver that we own, right?
Exactly.
For maintenance.
That's like taking computers, splitting them out into
Okay,
different.
that
It
would be
makes
best
no
side,
sense.
absolutely.
They
Yeah,
belong
we don't
together,
need-
just like our insurance
No, I don't
belongs
think we need a
together.
resolution, we just use that paver line, it's not specific for a certain paver, right?
No.
Like, it doesn't say this type of paver.
What brought this to our attention is the second one for the roller says high pack roller, so we
No.
wanna change that to
Just
say
make it,
all
just
rollers.
make it to be one roller. If there's 10 rollers,
Okay.
there's 10
So
rollers.
that's why this was brought to our attention, is because again, we had our second one, which was for the roller.
So C is high pack roller. maintenance,
Correct,
right?
rather
That's a
than-
specific type.
So we wanna drop the high pack essentially and use it for all roller
Okay,
systems.
so that one we can change to roller
Hey,
maintenance.
it's one less on the budget,
There we go.
one
So,
less line.
okay, so in that particular case, we can drop B. Then I would ask for approval for the high pack roller maintenance line to become, used for all rollers, and that would now be 24-29, the resolution, if we so approve.
Anyone like to make that motion? Roll maintenance line 437.274.
To be used
For all
for all
rollers.
pavers, yes.
Yeah,
For all roller systems.
Roller, yeah.
For all rollers,
Anyone like to make that motion?
just agreed to it, Christopher.
Yeah, I'll make a motion
Okay,
to
go
adopt
for it.
resolution 2429.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, Mrs. Joy.
Yes,
Mr. Rhodes.
Yes.
Mr. Bittler.
Yes.
I'll vote yes.
Okay, just wanna bring everybody up to date on our, Public Works vacancy update. We did have 4 applicants for the position. 3 of those came through a third-party site. Of the ones that came through a third-party site, only one so far has responded to the interview. I have that interview tomorrow, with our Public Works, crew leader. We did have one today. It was a very good interview, I believe. So we have that one. There may be the opportunity for one of those 2 to call in tomorrow, and I would set one up for Monday. I'm not anticipating it at this point in time, so I think it'd be down between the 2 candidates. And then what we'd like to do is, we would like to bring our selection to you. If we do have one of these 2 candidates and they have the requisite requirements, particularly CDL in hand, we'd like to bring that to you, the board, on next Tuesday's regular meeting for approval.
the sooner the better before we get snow, please.
Correct.
Oh,
We'd like to start them either right before the end of this fiscal year or right at the beginning of the next, so, or calendar year as well. The next thing I have on the list, I believe this would require a motion. I'd like the board to consider a motion to look at us executing an agreement with PAMS, or at least getting the documents together for that, for sewer and stormwater billing. We did look into, I believe the board has received a number of emails on this, we looked into the SMP as well. They were unwilling to engage on the SMP program. It's a very complicated program in many respects, and I'll address that in the next motion I'm going to request on a potential solution for that. But again, I'd like to have your approval before I move forward and gathering the documents and putting all that together for your review.
So there's no agreement that we're reviewing tonight?
No, so
He wants to-
it was poorly phrased here, sir, and I'll take responsibility for that. The motion tonight is for us to pursue those things and to get that material together for you.
You basically asked for permission to go work on the agreement, which to
Correct, ma'am.
me, you should have just been able to work on the agreement and bring it to us, but whatever. I'll make a motion.
Well, didn't we do that last month? Didn't we authorize this last month?
I believe we did authorize.
It was for the bill, it was for billing for anything less than $1, but I wanna make sure it's specific to Pam's for
Yeah,
this.
I was gonna say,
That's why I wanted to
You're
clarify that for
clarifying
myself,
it.
if that's okay with the board.
and the fact that there's no SMP
Well,
program with it kind of. makes it
correct.
different.
Yeah, I think you guys, authorization, I mean, we can just.
Yeah.
get
Okay.
it
I don't think
together.
we have
I don't think we need
to do
motions.
We absolutely had authorization, and
But-
all we need to see is a contract now.
Right, just the
but-
information on
But
what
he's
it's gonna
saying
cost.
there's
things
no
like that.
SMP
Right.
with it, so he's clarifying because we
Well, that's
have
fine, yeah.
discussed
Okay,
it,
so
the
get us what you
SMP.
have, and then we'll get an SMP.
Well, but that's what the next piece is, to work on an SMP database,
Well,
because once it's in place. Go ahead, let's.
So,
go on.
after that email came back from Pam's, essentially saying that they were unwilling to work with us on the SMP program based upon its complexity, Supervisor Rhodes reached out to me, to discuss the option of potentially helping us build a database in-house. What I'm asking for, and I believe would be appropriate, based on the fact that he is a supervisor, would be to ask permission from the board, for him to do so, because he would actually have access to all that personal information of our residents, and that he would be willing to release that at the end, of
Before
the
we do
process.
that, I'd like to see this rejection, or whatever.
Why-
I believe
why
that
would-
email
why-
came to you, sir,
Yeah.
already.
I have a question.
Well, I'd like to
Why
review it
are you
again.
questioning?
I'm not getting emails, friend.
You're not, why do you question and
Sure, I'm not sure
disrespect
why.
our employees,
I mean,
Mr. Bittler?
Excuse me?
Why do you disrespect people? You have no faith
It's
in
not a
anyone.
matter of
Unless
respect.
it
I
comes
think-
from you
I
and
think
God,
that
it doesn't
we
matter.
should take a look at that.
Yeah, sure, so, I'll just quickly explain that.
Yeah.
I reached out to
database.
Rich and said, you know, that I could, absolutely, put something together for the SMP, build an application with a database that, they could use in-house, that would not only, you know, administer, the people, you know, the sewer management program itself, but, send out letters, you know, we could automatically, it would automatically generate letters, late notices, you know, whatever, you know, we needed to send out to
You're
residents, you know,
basically
based off
building it.
that, letting them know that, hey, your inspection is coming in
Yeah.
2 months or whatever, and it's a $35 fee, and, you know, the application would actually run on whatever computer we install it on, the database would sit on one of the servers. So I just offered that, not at any cost, just I would do it myself.
Well,
you know,
I think it's
technically.
a nice gesture,
If we
Jeff.
need help with data entry, Jeff, I'll gladly help you with data entry, because we
I
can get
think
it
it's a
for you.
nice gesture, Jeff, but we agreed to outsource this, not to
Wait.
continue it as we've
Sure,
done.
sure,
So-
understood,
So
but
Why do
it
we
might
have
be
to
better
do
to
what we
outsource
decided
after we
before?
have that, but we don't need our staff doing any
We
further
didn't-
work on that. This has been a disaster for years.
Stop criticizing everything,
So,
Mr.
could
Bittler.
you, what's your plan?
It's been a
Make it
disaster
simple,
for
is that what
years.
you're
And
Well,
you've
my
been
plan
part
was
of
just to
it,
bring it
so
into one application,
I
get
think
it out
you're
of-
right, Jeff. I
get it
vote
out
we
of,
give Jeff the opportunity.
An Excel spreadsheet that it's in now, right, build the application,
He's
allow
already
it,
got
it's
the
gonna be
data.
a Windows application pretty much, right, where they can button clicks, type this, enter the information,
But we've already got the
update
data,
it.
Jeff, right?
Um,
We've already got the data there
we-
that I
we-
import
We have an
from
Excel
Excel.
spreadsheet that it's based
I
on
would just,
now. which-
I would
And
just
that can
import
be
that right into the
transferred.
database, you know.
That can be transferred right into a database.
And it
from him.
would, basically, they'd be able to have an actual application outside of just using an Excel spreadsheet to kind of keep.
Be a lot cleaner, and they wouldn't have to go
And-
into
and
the manual data
My
they're doing.
attempt was to kind of simplify it as well, like I know we do these zone things and all that stuff, but I
No.
look at that and say, that's just so confusing. From a zone standpoint, it doesn't matter what zone you're in, if you haven't had a pump in 3 years, you need to have.
That's right.
It
Every
doesn't
3
matter if you're
years,
in
it's
zone
gonna
1,
pop
zone
up,
2, zone 8, zone
and then
whatever.
it could just generate
You
all
know.
of them, right?
And part of what
It
it
could,
brought
it
this
could.
up was, you know, I did have a conversation, with Rich at Pam's, about the system, and, you know, I used myself as an example, and I think when you and I had a quick conversation over this, Supervisor Rose, you know, we had the same example, which was, you know, mine was originally supposed to be done in 2019, I went a year early, So now I'm off my cycle with regard to that zone that I'm in, so it quickly, although I think there was good intent there, I think it quickly became, very fractured, and so I think this is gonna be right
That's
up with
because
this.
in the beginning, we had to determine which locations we were starting at. It did, you know, what I mean, you couldn't do the whole you couldn't do the whole township at once. So that's how it started out in zones. The first group got zone 1, and it just kind of progressed along. It wasn't, I don't think it was anybody's intent to make it cumbersome, but just right, and so are you, it is cumbersome. But putting
Yeah,
a
I just think the
database
process
up,
is very cumbersome right now.
I'll
Yeah.
make the motion to approve Supervisor Rhodes works on the SMP database, make it more.
I second that.
You'll be agreeable to sharing that information. I wasn't aware those discussions were occurring.
Yes, well, and I only asked that because like when I reached out to Rich, I said, listen, I'll offer to do this, I'll do it, I'm not gonna charge the township for it. But let's get it in front of the board during the meeting and discuss it so everybody's aware prior to.
I don't see what the
So
big
we have,
deal is.
we have a motion and a second, so
Yes.
Mrs. Joy,
Yeah.
Mr. Rhodes.
I'll abstain since I'm doing the work.
Yep.
Mr. Bittler.
I'm gonna vote no for tonight. We don't think about this till Tuesday.
I'll vote yes.
Yeah. I don't mean this rude, everything that's going in there is public
No, no,
knowledge.
no, right.
None of this is hidden knowledge.
And Jeff, when you do it, maybe just consider gathering all the email addresses so you can email
Well,
the bills.
He's,
Absolutely.
he's gonna do that. Harold, think like a geek.
We can get emails, we can click a button to email the bills, anything.
We don't have to
It'll be
deal
all
with
automated,
this.
right, and that's my point, is
This
trying to
is
get that
so-
automated.
He's trying to make it
there's
so much
less work,
cleaner.
and there's one place that we can go in and look at it and say,
And we're not
you know,
paying somebody.
I mean, it'll notify you when someone's late, it'll come up red if the account's behind, all that stuff can be done, very simple, so. I mean, I'm probably looking at 4 or 5 weeks maybe, I can produce something, then we can adjust it from there. I mean,
If you want
Well, and
anything, we
it,
can
and it
send
may
you
be,
the email.
honestly, I would say as manager, I think if we're able to put this into a database that's much more manageable, they may be willing to then outsource somewhere else and take a look at it, so.
But, you know what?
We'll have to take a look at it, but right now, again, it's so fractured, it's very hard to do.
Give it a chance, because once Jeff decides to put a database together, it's very
Sure, we can
cohesive
back.
and it's very functional, and it'll do a lot of things automatically. And it won't require much except when people sell or buy a house.
Alright, so we have a
to
motion,
change
we
it.
did it, and.
Yeah, you did it, you're done.
So, Rich G.
Okay, so the next
So
thing,
the motion didn't carry.
It did, Chris
Yeah,
said yes.
LTC abstained, so it wouldn't have carried, I guess, right?
Those
Did not
two.
carry.
There are four,
And
Okay.
211.
211. Now, it's something majority for.
So we'll talk about that Tuesday, and I'll get a hold of you, Jeff, to kind of hash out a few things.
Sorry, G.
okay.
Private conversation, Mr. Bittler.
All right, so the next thing that I have here on the list, so one of the things is we're reviewing for zoning hearing board, which is potentially going to be for the 23rd of January 2025. We noticed that all of the zoning hearing board members were expiring at the end of this year. That is based on the documentation that I've reviewed. That is not the correct methodology. They should have an overlap so that you always retain some experience on the board. So in order to resolve that for now and then into the future, I believe this was all put into the email. However, I was going to recommend Doug Ray's our longest serving member. He would serve for an additional year, and that's what the resolution says. Wynn would serve for 2 years. Bernie would serve for 3, and so would our one alternate that we currently have. And then what we would then do is next year, in the December timeframe, we would automatically have on your agenda a resolution to either reappoint Mr. Ray, who would be the one that would be coming up for expiration for an additional 3 years, or at that point in time, the board may select somebody new for it. But this would rectify the fact that all 4 of them are at this point going to expire at the end of this year.
Which wouldn't help us very much.
No, ma'am. No, and if we were to just carry that over, it would continue the issue into future years, which we don't want to do. So in out years, if in fact you did have a board that all of a sudden all of them decided they were not going to return, you would have to rebuild a board from scratch. The loss of experience would be
Not beneficial.
pretty damaging. Yes, ma'am.
Not beneficial at all.
So that would be, in this case, resolution 24-30.
Yeah. Anyone like to make a motion for reappointment of zoning hearing board
Yeah,
members for
I think-
resolution 2430?
I like to think about that
I'd
till
like to
Tuesday.
turn around and not make us have a nightmare. There's nothing
Can
to
you
think
think about
about.
that till Tuesday?
Why do we have to? What's there to think about? He just made it very
Well,
clear.
plus there was the email, I mean, that was a while ago, I think, wasn't it?
That's, I believe, last week.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so we've had it long enough to look at it. I'll make it, if you don't, you don't. A resolution for reappointment of the zoning hearing board members with Doug going year 1, Lynn going year 2, and Bernie, and the alternate going year 3.
Well, we'll wait, and then we'll sit here, because they both want to look at it, just Jeff, I looked at it yet, so. We're gonna add it to.
Yeah, that's not what I Chris.
Alright, so motion dies. Alright, letters of interest.
Okay, so we'll table that till Tuesday. Letters of interest, I just wanna note, we'll bring this to the regular meeting, I wanna make a good list for us to see what's out there, and we can announce that on Tuesday. I just wanna bring that to your attention now.
Where are you at in the agenda here?
This would be,
H.
H, sir, under manager's comments.
Okay, that's great. You'll bring it to us on Tuesday.
Yep.
What's the 2025 meeting schedule?
I just wanna let you know that those were in fact advertised, I can give you the dates if you would like those.
I personally don't need to know. If you did them, you did them. I should have enough faith that you did them.
And then
Do you actually know if they're on the, internet part of the Red Eagle?
They should be. Whatever's
I'm just curious,
regular.
because now, they have, Red Eagle has like a deal, like they put these deals out, you get like for
It
$3
pays a
for
buck
a
a
year or
month.
something like that, and you
Yeah,
don't have to
$1
get the
a month.
paper, you get it online. So if, I'm just curious if it's on the.
I get both.
Yeah, I was
Is it
gonna
on
say,
the internet part?
everything's in there.
I only recall seeing the township supervisor meeting dates published, none of the rest of the meetings.
I'm just.
I'm looking at the proof of publication here, so 11/22, so.
I mean, I could be wrong about that, but.
And I'm
that's
curious
what I
if it's on
recall.
both, because if people
Well, yeah.
have switched over and don't get the paper, is it actually in the
Well,
internet part?
it's no different than people not getting access.
Well, I'm just saying, I just wondering, I don't know, I don't have access, so I don't know.
I do, but I didn't.
Anyway, go ahead, keep
Okay.
going, I was
Supposed
just
to be on both.
Right,
Chris.
so, again, I do have those proofs if anybody needs those. And then the final thing I have on my manager's comments for this evening is, request for proposals, we'll discuss at the regular meeting. What's going to happen with Penn Bid is I will download, I can't see anything until it actually closes tomorrow at 4 p.m. I've already scheduled some time, I'll sit down, I'll download all of those, I will package those to you, and we'll send those out tomorrow evening, as soon as I have access. So I'd say probably about 6 or 7 tomorrow evening as I package each of them into files that I can send to you separately. So you'll get them for the engineer, you'll get them for, each one will come in a separate email to you, okay, so that you can keep them separated.
And do you get many responses from the paper?
From the paper? No, so when you do this through Penn Bid, everything comes through Penn Bid.
Yeah, I thought you also published in the paper.
Well, it is published in the paper, that's a requirement, so it has to be advertised in the paper, but they're still all forced through Penn Bid. So when you publish, when this goes into the paper, it says you have to go to Penn Bid to get the information. That way it keeps it clean, it's all in one location, and that's the recommendation of Penn Bid as well, at this point, because it just, again, it's a much cleaner process.
Alright, anything else for manager's comments?
Yes, sir.
Fire company park Tuesday, and then in our packet, get minute dispenses reports Tuesday. And Ryan, what else do you have for us for?
All right, back to me.
It was a circle.
Item C under planning and engineering, we have received a NPC time extension request from Rock Hollow Woods. If you recall, they were investigating the potential of consolidating some deeds to address some zoning matters that they were inadvertently created. They have made progress with that, and they expect to be back before the planning commission with a revised plan, but they have asked for a time extension in order to do so.
Yeah, they didn't know, they didn't realize what they did when they did it.
And I think quite frankly, the advice that our planning commission provided them, they didn't understand when they
No.
went to the county, ag security board. So there was some back and forth there.
Yeah, there was some confusion surrounding the whole thing.
No, I'll make a motion to approve their time extension.
I'll second those.
Roll call, Mrs. Joy?
Yes.
Mr. Rose?
Yes.
Mr. Bitler?
I'll vote yes, but we've extended this before.
He just explained it was a conflict of two of them.
Yeah, we have, we've extended this before, this has been
No,
a
it's been a
long
problem.
time project.
Chris, just whatever, Bitler.
Keep going, right?
Wine, yeah.
Okay, final item that I have for you tonight is we did receive the payment application. We have processed that, that's in your packet. This is for the paving portion of the 2024 street work. The application includes the payment app and a change order. We were approximately $12,000 over contract price. The lion's share of that was on Mounts Road. So that did adjust pricing for both Robeson and New Morgan Borough. I have provided signed copies of that application to the borough for their signature and approval as well. I am not asking the board to do anything on this until we receive the approval from the borough for their portion. The borough's portion of this, when all is said and done, is $50,454.55. Robeson's balance would then be $422,295.73. So again, at this point, take a look through this. Any questions you have, please let me know. It is before New Morgan Borough for their approval as well. And I don't think we should do anything until we receive it.
We agree, so we're sure that we're gonna get what we need.
Alright, Solicitor London.
Okay, there have been 3 assessment appeals filed, which are in your packets. The first is River Run Meadows has filed an assessment appeal from the county board. The county assessment board reduced the valuation of the River Run Meadows property from $1,815,300 to $1,583,400. Owner is seeking further reduction, and as with this, as with the other 2, the township has the right but not the obligation to intervene. Usually the school district intervenes because they have more of an interest than the township does, but it does intervene and does give us a seat at the table if settlement is being discussed, and also allows us to participate in the proceedings. Intervention is just by a 1-paragraph notice of intervention, and then we receive notices and any filings in the case.
So that's kind of significant with River Run. I wasn't real thrilled when River Run went in, and it's no disrespect to him.
I think their assessment started off at like $4 million.
Well, and that's just it, but it's been going down and going down and going down.
Right, it's going to,
And we picked up a lot of.
Oh, we picked up some
That's what
costs,
we did.
absolutely, we have picked up some costs.
Now, understand that this is the assessed value, and the fair market value is based on the common level
Which is
ratio, which is 36.4 in this year. The second one is Green Hills Realty LP. They filed an appeal from the decision of the Board of Assessment for 2675 Morgantown Road, which is a commercial building on 12.5 acres. The initial assessment was $8,397,800. That was reduced to $7,862,400. They're seeking further reduction. And the final one was an appeal, 243 Oak Grove Drive. That one was, they appealed an assessment of $252,400 that was not reduced. As I said before, we have the ability to intervene. Very often a municipality will intervene with the larger commercial and industrial properties. The school district generally intervenes in the larger residential as well.
If the appeals are successful, what's the cost to the township?
The cost, as far as the cost to the township.
What are we losing in revenue?
I'd have to make that calculation.
Richard, what are we losing on revenue?
And I'd also have to make that
I was
calculation.
gonna say.
Before you make a decision on appealing, don't you wanna know that?
Why don't we defer that to Tuesday, and we'll have,
Wouldn't we wanna know that for tonight? We know what's going on.
Well, like she said, anything else you're willing to wait till Tuesday, so let everybody get their act together and give them the information on Tuesday. Nobody should have to jump like you're their puppy. They're not your puppy.
Green Hills Realty, that's, was there lumber?
I think what is it, we get 8
yes,
cents, 8 cents on a dollar.
2675 Morgantown Road.
Yeah.
8 cents on a dollar,
Yes,
I think.
is that what it is?
That's the old Green Hills lumber,
Yeah.
Yes.
These are lumber, little deal. Yeah.
Yeah, just get that number from Tuesday. That's-
Okay, we'll have it for Tuesday. Rich and I will work on that.
Thank you.
anything else, Jim?
That's all I have.
All right, Harry.
Good evening, board. Only thing I have on here is, asking the board's approval to reinstate our membership for the Berks County Public Works Association. That's the, basically meetings that we sometimes go to. They have LTAP classes, so on and so forth. They're always held at Ole. We've been part of that association forever.
Is there a cost involved?
Yeah, the cost is $125.
So you need a motion to rejoin that? Did we leave it lapse?
No, it's just, it's coming up.
2025. There's a misprint on here, it should be 2025 BCPWA.
But
Visual.
but
Right.
still, it doesn't matter, it's the same thing, all he wants to do is renew what they already
it's just
belong
renew
to.
it.
It's just payable before 1 March, which I think,
I don't see a problem in,
it kind of overlaps the year, but.
Would you like to make a motion? Go ahead.
make a motion to authorize the 2025 BCPWA municipal membership for the Public Works
For $125.
for $125.
Alright, I'll second the motion.
Roll call, Mr. Joy?
Yes.
Mr. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mr. Bitler?
Yes.
I'll vote yes.
All right, for Park and Recreation, there's no new business. For the next one down, EAC, you have November minutes in your packet, 12/5, as approved in 12/5. Questions? And I do have, I don't have anything under new or old business, here, but I do have 2 matters I'd like to discuss, with the board in executive this evening, just to make you aware of something
That's
that's coming.
everybody?
Yeah, that's
And
everybody.
what's the basis of that? What, can you give us a little more?
One is a matter regarding Gaja and what it could be potential legal issue, and the second is a personnel matter.
Again,
Okay.
you know, I've got some
Could we go to
concerns with what
executive?
we're doing. Would you be quiet, please? I'm raising a concern that we need to inform the public what we're doing.
Breathing
There's
is a
been
concern for
multiple
you.
times where we get down there and it starts straying afoul. So
Part of that's
if it's a
because of you.
personnel and a legal issue, I'm here to tell this board that to the extent that occurs, I'm going to come in and announce what is
You do it
happening.
anyway, so what's the big surprise?
Okay.
We're gonna go.
We know your mouth
we're
doesn't
going
shut
to
one line.
Executive at 8:17, and then
Or
I guess
how
also,
long?
Joan, I guess we'll do everything and then.
Yeah, is there any action, do we expect any
need to-
official action to be taken?
I guess that depends on what information we get.
I'm not sure.
Well, no,
Alright,
so
so,
then-
so it's possible that official action will be taken?
Right, we have no idea.
Well, then also,
Yeah, yeah.
Mr. Irby, you gonna hang around?
Do you want me to?
I don't think we need you after that.
We always need it.
if you don't need the police chief, do you need the engineer?
We don't need the engineer. Get on out.
What about the road guy? You need him?
Yeah, now, yeah.
What's the update on the truck?
Yeah. And it's still sitting there.
I haven't done anything yet.
They have the plow legs on. I don't know if yeah, that's why I haven't,
How's Tom?
I'm supposed to sell the other truck. But I can't sell the other truck because
I was
where?
trying out
God
doing, but
forbid
I
I sell.
that guy can replace a kitchen and put lights up at the same time, it's impressive.
Yeah.
I'm still working on
It's-
mine.
That's why I try saying like, I gotta order a truck now to see it in 2 years.
Yes, I was told we needed to do blue this year, so we have blue.
You know, it was 2 things we put, what are that?
Yes,
We're
absolutely.
fixing lights and sitting there with
I
it
would
burned out the
be-
most
for
with
the
blue.
stuff that you know.
Tell Susie.
Yeah.
Well, Kirsten and Lynn did a great job too.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, you'll see it when you win. No, that's right, you got the driveway before that.
Yeah.
They go around,
Yeah.
then the first one, they come around the back way.
What happens is, we get these rainy days and then all my ground faults start tripping.
Yeah.
You can
Yes,
get stuff.
I know the drill.
I don't know, I guess it's later. I don't know.
Well, there's been some management changes.
I don't know. I always have in contact with Dale, so.
I'm working to set up your meeting to take a look at this light, but I've already been told, look at it. PennDOT won't allow any changes to it till that bridge is done, so we'll see.
So the bridge is done?
Yeah, because because
Well,
they're.
that doesn't make any sense.
But it is gonna mess up their traffic pattern, and they're not, so I don't know if that light's getting like an adjustment, so there's more to be found out.
The other thing is, you know, the grant that I sent you,
Mhm.
you might be able to massage that as a safety issue. And way have them out there, like, point out how rough that.
That intersection, and it seems like it's getting worse, but maybe.
It is.
Maybe just my suspension
No,
is getting worse.
I think it's getting worse. Well, maybe it's the fact that your body's getting older.
That could be too.
Doesn't take those.
Usually when I'm coming that direction, I'm coming home from the gym, so I'm probably sore.
Well, I go over in the shoulder.
Yeah,
You have to clear that.
cut it really tight.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, well, more to come on it.
All right, hey, thanks.
And you can tell they're not like playing, like look, like they're pushing, like look. He shot his bow, but he now
I don't know, but I can hear people up here, and my hearing's terrible.
Awful quiet in here. Let's spice it up. You have anything to say for Christmas from a township standpoint? Merry Christmas to all.
And to all, good night soon.
It's warmer in Anchorage than it is here right now.
Say that again?
It's warmer in Anchorage than it is here now.
That's the,
And Dublin's at 40.
you've been in Anchorage, correct, Mr. Stevens?
I have been.
Well, it's been a while for me, but Alaska has a lot to offer.
Anchorage is another of those cities with it's like a city under the city. There's parts of the city were covered with an earthquake. I think Seattle's the same way.
good, yeah.
It feels good. When we came up here, I said it's way too warm in here.
I used to have a body fat, and I knew how freezing cold it was this time.
All right, we will come back into regular session at 8:33. In executive session, we did discuss some personnel issues, legal matters, and we also talked about legal matters with the versus Robeson Township.
The legal matters as it relates to Gaja.
Yes.
Possible litigation involving
There's no possible. I mean,
Unless
there's
you
no
know something we
potential.
don't, Bitler.
We're just dancing around the issues again and hiding stuff from the public. That's what we're doing.
Okay, Dave,
All right,
would you like to do him again?
Anything else?
Yeah,
for-
under
No.
old business, Mr.
No.
Chairman, under old business, we seem to not have things on the agenda. It doesn't do us any good when the agenda comes out.
Just say what it is, Bitler, and quit whining at Mr.
It
Howlett.
doesn't do us any good when the agenda comes out at the brink of the last moment. The
You saw
agendas.
the original one.
Would you please be quiet?
No, I'm not your puppy.
Would you please be quiet?
Yeah, we got it.
Okay, we
Maybe
get
we
it
need
at
to
the
read
brink
it.
of a time limit for adjustment. What I'm suggesting is under old business going forward, let's put the sewer agreement that I agreed to kind of take the laboring war work with. Mr. Steve has reached out to me. I'm gonna talk to him further about it. In the meantime, it's, in my opinion, troublesome. We have our chairman, Mr. Smith, serving as a vice chair of that organization, that independent, and our chairman of our board. I again raised concerns and objections.
Oh, we know.
You know,
We're
with
good at
that. So
Rich,
I'll,
Rich, add that to the agenda.
Yeah,
So
and
we're talking,
put-
we're
and
talking
the
about
calendar,
our lease agreement, so we wanna make sure we're
Correct.
sort of lease,
Yeah.
okay.
Make sure it's under
Our
That was
team,
the other one we
yep,
got on there.
will do.
Oh, I was trying to,
Anyone like to
communicate.
make a motion to adjourn at 8:35?
What's the matter?
Nothing doesn't matter.
You're here, citizens concerned?
Citizens concerned? No.
Your name and address, please?
Yeah, Richard Steele, 944 West First Street, Roseboro.
He's the invoke on it.
Actually, yeah. I just wanted to talk on behalf of, we had a great chief that resigned, or retired, and, basically he had a stressful job. Dennis Castle. And, I think now you have, Sergeant Grimby. Is he the chief, or is he's just acting chief?
He's acting chief at this time.
Acting chief, okay, and I'd just like to word in that, knowing him throughout the community, working in the community, I'm hoping that, he would be our next chief.
You should have came earlier when he was here.
So were we.
Now, I've
That's
been
the whole
running
thing.
around trying to get, I had to go get a phone charger, and I had to get over you can go get it one.
You're always frazzled, Rich, come on.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
But
thank you.
that's what I wanted to say. I mean, the whole force, this whole force is a great force that we have here.
Castle did a good job.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. I've known him for years, you know, when his kids were little, going to dance school and all that. But that's not why I'm speaking for him. I'm speaking for him because of him being a great chief and doing a great job.
I think he's giving the guys a good example.
Thank you.
I know he's got a tough job now down in, Kensington.
All right, thank you very much, and we'll tell him, unless you come Tuesday, you can tell him yourself. All right, now, would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn at 8:37?
Sure, I'll make it to return at 6:37.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Rich, is there anything signed now?
Yes, sir, we have, resolution 24-29, resolution 24-28, and also the intergovernmental agreements. So I'll have those, and then also, these are the glass subdivision. I do have one signature already from a member of the board. I would need at least 2 more here. There are 6 copies, so I'd like to have those this evening, so that I can take care of that, and have those ready when his DEP permit does in fact come through, which I expect shortly. That's me. This one also just
What's their record now, basketball?
Who's that?
Who matters?
The high school?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, what's your daughter playing then?
She's in middle school. Yeah.
So what is there?
They're 2-1.
Are they supposed to be good?
They're not bad, actually. They lost to Muhlenberg, who was really good. Like 34-28 or something like
Is
that.
she point guard, she forward?
Yeah.
And this is the one, and then
And then they beat Reading
this is
today and yesterday.
resolution.
Do you need anything?
I think so.
Okay, see you later.
Hey, Tom. Have a good night, man.
Okay.
I know, my daughter was disappointed, but I saw you starting to put some up.
And those, I don't think they're. Alright, so here you go.
There's a lot of holes in them.
Oh, is there?
This is their 21st, 20th, this is
Gotcha. Well, we're looking forward to it, Tom.
Yeah.
That's,
So your daughter.
I'll take care of the rest of them.
Being independent daughter, you just make, potentially someone else's daughter, is she half decent?
No, she's really good. Yeah, I'm surprised. And she wasn't gonna play. She was good last year, just like in club. And this is her, obviously her first year from middle school. And she wasn't gonna play, and then her friends from soccer convinced her to play. And, so my daughter. And then she, now she's actually really enjoying it, so.
Does she start?
Yes, she does. She plays most of the game, actually. She comes out for a few minutes.
Points per game? 6, 8?
Yeah, average, I'm gonna say 6 or 7. Yeah, points a game, so.
Assists?
She has a lot of assists, because the girl that she's up front with,
No, you can keep it, because I got it from Rain.
her and the forward, they kind of switch, Marley, she's a taller girl, so she'll always just get her the ball over top of her, like, she just puts it right out. So she has tons of assists. Yeah.
All right, what about turnovers?
Okay, you get my signatures?
She probably has 1 or 2.
Is her fault or is it somebody dropped the ball?
Well, it's like, some of them are her fault, she passes it and it just, the player's taller or something, tips it or something like that. Or sometimes it's their fault, she'll pass it to this girl and it'll go right through her hands. But,
Now, okay, the other question is, since I was the age of my senior year in three-point line, and of course after that, the football, which I still am not still thinks that, but everybody uses the ability to shoot foul shot, because they're all excited about how cool that is. Three-point.
Right.
Is that what's happening?
You can have one of that.
No,
I'll have this
actually,
for 3 years to manage.
we probably made, I'm gonna say in the 3 games, maybe 4 or 5 3-pointers.
That's it.
Yeah, not, we don't take, we're mainly, we go into the paint and lay up, find the hole. Now today, we won 47-25 against Central, Reading Central Middle School. And we were there, and there was one girl on the team that had all 25 of their points. Yeah. Short, probably a foot shorter than my daughter. But a pistol, right? Yeah, just fast, and she probably hit
Who was covering
4
her?
or 5.
Who the heck was covering her?
4 or 5 3-pointers, right? Like, she just could shoot the ball. Like,
She probably dribbled below everybody else.
she could just dunk under their arm. She would dribble around and just dunk under their arms. Like,
You
phenomenal play.
gotta start fouling. You gotta.
Yeah, and she would hit these 3-pointers, and I'm like, oh my god, like, she's really good. So it was fun to watch, But that's all they had. So it was one girl that scored all 25